If you're over 60 and you feel like you're doing everything right, eating less, moving more, maybe even avoiding sweets, but the scale still refuses to change, then there's something important you need to understand. This isn't about a lack of discipline. It's not your age working against you either. What's actually happening is that there are certain everyday foods quietly stressing your liver. And when your liver starts to struggle, your body loses its ability to efficiently burn fat. Instead of releasing weight, it holds onto it. And here's the part most people don't realize. Many of these foods are already in your kitchen. Some even look healthy on the label. They're marketed as low-fat, sugar-free, or heart-friendly. But behind those labels, they can slowly disrupt your liver's normal function. I'm the Weird Lab, and I've spent decades studying how food interacts with the body at a deep cellular level. Today, I want to walk you through 6 of the most common foods that can quietly harm liver health. You'll learn how each one affects your body, what signs your system might already be showing, and what you can realistically replace them with. Stay with me until the end, because understanding this could genuinely change the way your body responds to food moving forward. Before we get into the list, you need to understand one thing about your liver that most people underestimate. Your liver is one of the most important organs in your body. It carries out more than 500 essential functions every single day. But when it comes to weight, its biggest role is this: it helps regulate fat. It processes fat from your bloodstream, breaks it down, and converts it into usable energy. That's what it's supposed to do. But when the liver becomes overloaded with excess sugar, processed ingredients, and chemical byproducts, it can't keep up. Instead of burning fat efficiently, it begins storing it inside its own cells. This condition is now known as metabolic dysfunction-associated steatotic liver disease, or MASLD, previously referred to as fatty liver disease, and the numbers are alarming. Hundreds of millions of adults are already affected, and the trend is still rising. Research published in major medical journals has projected that this condition will become even more widespread in the coming decades, especially among older adults. So why does this matter more after 60? Because the liver naturally becomes less efficient with age. The enzymes responsible for breaking down toxins and processing nutrients slow down. That means foods your body once handled easily can now create more stress internally. The liver doesn't suddenly fail. It gets overwhelmed quietly over time. And if you don't know what's causing that pressure, it becomes very hard to reverse. So let's break down the first major culprit. The first one is high fructose corn syrup, one of the most damaging yet common ingredients in modern diets. It's not just in obvious products like soda or candy. It also hides in sauces, salad dressings, packaged bread, granola bars, and even juices that are marketed as healthy. A large portion of packaged foods contains some form of it, which means many people consume it daily without realizing. Here's what makes it so problematic for the liver. When you consume glucose, your body distributes it broadly. Muscles, the brain, and other tissues all help process it. Fructose works differently. It is handled almost entirely by the liver. No other organ plays a significant role in processing it at scale. When the liver is repeatedly exposed to high amounts of fructose, it converts the excess into fat. That fat doesn't just circulate, it gets stored directly in liver cells. Over time, this leads to fat accumulation inside the liver itself, which is one of the earliest steps toward fatty liver disease. But there's another issue. Fructose doesn't properly activate the signals that tell your brain you're full. So even after eating enough, your appetite doesn't shut off the way it should. That combination, increased fat production plus reduced satiety, creates a cycle that's very hard on the liver. Some common warning signs include persistent belly fat that doesn't respond to dieting, frequent bloating after meals, and elevated triglyceride levels in blood tests. A simple shift can make a difference here. Replacing sugary drinks with water. If you need flavor, adding lemon, cucumber, or mint is a much safer alternative. And most importantly, start reading labels carefully. If high fructose corn syrup is listed near the top, it's something worth avoiding. The second category is industrial seed oils. These include soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, and similar highly refined vegetable oils. They might sound harmless, but they are heavily processed fats that became widespread only in the last century. Today, they make up a surprisingly large portion of the modern diet, especially in processed and restaurant foods. The main concern with these oils is their impact on inflammation. They are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. While omega-6 is not inherently bad, the balance between omega-6 and omega-3 is what matters. Historically, humans consumed these fats in a near equal ratio. In modern diets, that balance has shifted dramatically, with omega-6 far outweighing omega-3. This imbalance promotes chronic, low-level inflammation throughout the body, including in the liver. When inflammation becomes constant, it pushes the liver from simple fat buildup toward more serious damage, including scarring over time. These oils are not just in cooking bottles, they're in fried foods, packaged snacks, baked goods, and many restaurant meals. Signs that may show up include ongoing joint discomfort, easy bruising, and a sense of fatigue that doesn't improve even after rest. A better approach is to cook at home using fats that are more stable and less inflammatory, such as extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Reducing reliance on processed foods also helps significantly, since that's where most of these oils are hidden. The third category is artificial sweeteners, especially sucralose and aspartame. This is often what I call the diet trap, because it affects people who are genuinely trying to improve their health. Many people switch from sugar to diet drinks, sugar-free yogurts, or zero-calorie sweeteners thinking they are making a healthier choice. But in real-world observations and large research reviews, these substitutes have not consistently shown long-term benefits for weight control. In fact, major health organizations have reviewed hundreds of studies and concluded that non-sugar sweeteners are not effective tools for sustained weight loss. Zero. And they also discovered something even more concerning. Long-term use of artificial sweeteners may be linked with a higher risk of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular issues. So how does something with 0 calories end up causing metabolic problems? There are a few key mechanisms behind it. First, artificial sweeteners can disrupt the gut microbiome, the vast community of bacteria in your digestive system that plays a major role in metabolism and blood sugar control. When this balance gets disturbed, your body can become less responsive to insulin. That's called insulin resistance. And once insulin resistance starts to rise, your liver is forced to handle more circulating sugar than normal, which pushes it towards storing more fat instead of processing energy efficiently. Second, there's the brain response. These sweeteners are extremely intense, sometimes hundreds of times sweeter than regular sugar. Even though they don't provide calories, they still train your brain to expect sweetness constantly. Over time, this can keep your cravings active. Instead of reducing sugar intake, many people end up compensating by eating more sweet foods elsewhere in their diet. Some common warning signs include constantly craving sweets even while using sugar-free products, slowly rising fasting blood sugar levels over time, and the feeling that you're doing everything right but still not seeing changes on the scale. A simple adjustment here helps more than people expect. If you need sweetness, small natural options work better. A pinch of cinnamon in coffee can help support steadier blood sugar response. Fresh berries can naturally sweeten yogurt without triggering the same metabolic effect. And for drinks, water, sparkling water, or unsweetened tea are far safer long-term choices. Now let's move to the fourth category, processed deli meats. This is something I often refer to as the lunchtime trap because it's part of so many daily routines. Sandwiches, quick lunches, and ready-to-eat meals all rely heavily on these products. We're talking about bacon, hot dogs, salami, pepperoni, bologna, packaged ham, and even some deli counter turkey slices that appear to be healthier but are still heavily processed. Anything that's been cured, smoked, salted, or chemically preserved falls into this group. Health organizations, including the World Health Organization, have classified processed meats as a Group 1 carcinogen, which means there is strong evidence linking them to cancer risk. This category also includes substances like tobacco and asbestos. Not to say the risks are identical in scale, but the classification reflects the strength of the evidence. From a liver perspective, here's what matters. These meats often contain nitrates and nitrites, which are added to preserve color and extend shelf life. Inside the body, these compounds can be converted into nitrosamines, substances that are known to be harmful and place extra stress on the liver's detoxification system. When this exposure happens repeatedly over years, it adds a constant workload to the liver. On top of that, processed meats are usually very high in sodium. Some servings can contain over 1,000 milligrams in one meal. This excess sodium leads to water retention, which can make body weight increase even without fat gain. It also contributes to higher blood pressure, which is already a major concern in older adults. Warning signs include blood pressure that stays high even with medication, swelling in the lower legs or ankles that becomes worse later in the day, and a constant feeling of thirst that doesn't fully go away. A better approach is simple meal preparation. Cooking a chicken breast at home and slicing it for the week is a much cleaner protein option. Canned wild salmon can also be an easy alternative. Even plant-based choices like hummus with vegetables can provide satisfying protein without the same burden on the liver. Now the fifth category, refined white bread and packaged baked goods. This includes white bread, muffins, donuts, cookies, crackers, and processed snack cakes, the kinds of foods that often feel harmless because they're so common. For many people, these are deeply embedded habits. Toast in the morning, a sandwich at lunch, crackers as a snack. It doesn't feel like overconsumption because it's spaced throughout the day. But the issue lies in how the body processes refined flour. Most of the fiber and nutrients are removed during processing, leaving behind rapidly digestible starch. Once eaten, it converts quickly into glucose. White bread, for example, has a high glycemic impact. In fact, it can spike blood sugar even faster than some forms of table sugar. When that spike happens, the body responds with a surge of insulin, and insulin signals the liver to convert excess glucose into triglycerides, a form of fat. Those triglycerides don't just circulate, they get stored in the liver itself, contributing directly to fat buildup. To make things worse, packaged baked goods often include added sugars, preservatives, emulsifiers, and sometimes even hidden syrups that further strain liver metabolism. A pattern often seen is repeated blood sugar spikes throughout the day, breakfast toast, lunchtime sandwich, afternoon snack, creating a constant cycle of insulin activity. Over time, this can drive up triglyceride levels and accelerate fat accumulation in the liver. Common signs include feeling tired or sleepy after meals, elevated triglycerides on blood tests, and the presence of deep abdominal fat that feels firm rather than soft, the kind associated with visceral fat around internal organs. A better option is to switch to 100% whole grain bread, but even then, it's important to read the ingredient label carefully, since not all whole grain products are truly high quality. The first thing you want to look for is the ingredient list. If it doesn't start with whole wheat flour or whole grain, and instead says enriched wheat flour, it's not truly the kind of bread that supports stable blood sugar. A better approach is switching to options like steel-cut oats in the morning, which digest more slowly and keep energy levels steadier. And when you need something crunchy, it's far better to reach for raw almonds or fresh sliced vegetables instead of processed crackers that can quietly spike glucose. Now let's talk about number 6, and honestly, this is the one that frustrates me the most as a doctor: flavored yogurts and store-bought health smoothies. I often call these the Trojan horse of the food world because they enter your diet disguised as something healthy. You walk into any grocery store and see yogurt containers covered in claims like probiotic, gut-friendly, high protein, or low fat. It all sounds like the perfect health food. But once you turn the package around and check the nutrition label, the story changes completely. Many flavored yogurts contain 20 to 30 grams of added sugar per serving, which is basically the same amount you'd find in a candy bar. And smoothies can be even more extreme. Some commercial smoothie chains pack 60, 80, sometimes even 100 grams of sugar into a single drink. That's nearly 25 teaspoons of sugar in one sitting. At that level, your liver is overwhelmed. It simply isn't designed to process that kind of sugar load all at once. The frustrating part is that most people choosing these products are doing so because they genuinely want to be healthy. They're skipping desserts, reading labels, and trying to make better decisions. But without realizing it, they're still flooding their liver with large amounts of sugar every morning. The mechanism is the same harmful cycle we discussed earlier. Fructose is pushed directly into the liver and converted into fat, while glucose triggers insulin spikes that further promote fat storage. Some warning signs of this pattern include eating what feels like a healthy diet, but still gaining weight or struggling to lose it, and blood markers like HbA1c slowly creeping up over time despite your best efforts. A much better approach is simple. Instead of flavored yogurt, choose plain Greek yogurt and add your own fruit. Blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries are excellent choices because they're lower in sugar and rich in antioxidants that support liver health. For smoothies, making them at home makes a huge difference. A simple mix of spinach, frozen berries, a scoop of plain protein powder, a tablespoon of flaxseed, and water or unsweetened almond milk gives you nutrition without the sugar overload. No syrups, no juice bases, no added sugar. Now, stepping back, I want to bring your attention to something important. The warning signs your liver may already be struggling. The liver rarely sends loud signals. It tends to decline quietly over time until things become more serious. So here are 5 signs worth paying attention to. The first is persistent fatigue, not just normal tiredness after a long day, but a deep, ongoing exhaustion that doesn't improve even with rest. When the liver is under strain, energy production becomes less efficient. The second is stubborn belly fat, especially around the upper abdomen. If your midsection keeps expanding even while you're eating less or exercising more, it can point to visceral fat linked with liver dysfunction. The third is subtle changes in the skin or eyes, such as slight yellowing or unexplained itching. This can happen when the liver struggles to properly process waste products like bilirubin. The fourth shows up in blood tests that slowly worsen over time. Slightly elevated triglycerides, borderline glucose, or liver enzymes that keep creeping upward. These are early signals that shouldn't be ignored. The fifth is discomfort or a dull heaviness in the upper right side of the abdomen where the liver is located. When inflamed or enlarged, it can create a vague but persistent pressure, especially after eating. If you notice 2 or more of these signs, it's important to speak with a doctor. Asking for a liver function panel and an ultrasound is a simple, non-invasive way to check for fatty liver changes early, when they are still reversible. Now, I know this is a lot of information, so I want to turn it into something practical and manageable. You don't need to change everything at once, and honestly, you shouldn't try to. Real change happens through small, consistent steps. In the first week, focus on awareness. Go through your kitchen and check labels. Look for ingredients like high fructose corn syrup and industrial seed oils such as soybean or canola oil. Start replacing cooking oils with extra virgin olive oil. In the second week, focus on protein quality. Reduce or remove processed deli meats and flavored yogurts. Replace them with simple, whole options like roasted chicken, plain Greek yogurt with fruit, and canned wild salmon. In the third week, adjust your carbs and drinks. Switch white bread to 100% whole grain options, replace sugary or diet sodas with sparkling water and lemon, and begin making smoothies at home instead of buying them. Most importantly, don't aim for perfection. Aim for consistency. Even if you slip up, what matters is returning to better habits the next day. The liver is remarkably resilient, and given the chance, it can recover and improve even later in life. I've seen people in their 70s and 80s make these changes and successfully reverse signs of fatty liver disease. It is never too late to start. So to quickly summarize, these are the 6 main foods that can interfere with liver health and weight loss. High fructose corn syrup, hiding in packaged foods and drinks. Industrial seed oils found in processed and restaurant foods. Artificial sweeteners that can disrupt cravings and metabolism. Processed deli meats with preservatives and high sodium levels, refined white bread and baked goods that spike blood sugar repeatedly, flavored yogurts and commercial smoothies loaded with hidden sugars. Removing these doesn't just support weight loss, it helps reduce stress on the liver and improves overall energy and metabolic health. If you found this helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss future content. In the next video, I'll share 5 foods that can actually support liver repair and help activate fat burning after 60. Aging well starts with what you put on your plate, one choice at a time.